In the last hour, Israel has carried out more large strikes on the Lebanese capital, Beirut. They followed a series of overnight attacks. Israeli forces say they are targeting Hezbollah command centers. The military has ordered new forced evacuations for dozens of locations across Lebanon. It comes a day after Israel launched strikes it says were in response to Hezbollah rocket fire. The Iran-backed group says it has now sent drones into northern Israel. Israeli forces have also been carrying out overnight strikes in Iran's capital, Tehran. The Iranian state broadcaster reported 2 explosions near its headquarters there. More than 600 people, including civilians, have now been killed in both Iran and Lebanon since the start of the conflict. Gulf states also remain on edge after Iran targeted energy infrastructure in the region on Monday, triggering a surge in global gas and oil prices. Qatar's state-owned petroleum company has halted all production of liquefied natural gas, or LNG, after attacks on 2 of its facilities yesterday. OK, we have correspondents following developments in Beirut, Tehran, here in Doha. Let's go straight to Heidi, Pett, in the Lebanese capital. So, Heidi, more strikes over the course of the last few hours in Beirut. Talk us through what we've seen this morning.
Yeah, just as the sun rose over the city, we saw 2 large airstrikes hitting the southern suburbs of Beirut, smoke drifting across the capital, which in fact it has been doing all night. You can smell it here in downtown. There's a slight southerly breeze carrying the smell of explosives and smoke across the capital this morning. We've had an Israeli drone, a surveillance drone, circling in the skies overhead all night, and of course the sound and the feel of those explosions rocking the capital at periodic intervals over the last 12 or so hours of darkness. So many people here in Beirut have had quite a rough night of sleep, if indeed they have slept at all.
Yeah, tell us a little more about what people in Lebanon are going through. You mentioned many people are displaced, many people staying inside their cars. What is the feeling there?
The overwhelming feeling among people that I have spoken to in the last 24 hours in the streets is one of fatigue. You know, these are people who left their homes sometimes with nothing more than the clothes on their back. I saw little kids in the street yesterday morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. It was cold. They didn't have jackets because they and their family left in such a panic and such a hurry in the face of these Israeli airstrikes. But it's not just the direct bombing that people are fleeing. It's also these forced evacuation orders which the Israeli army has been issuing on a rolling basis over the last 24 hours, telling thousands of people, not just in southern parts of Beirut, but across the country, to leave their homes under imminent threat of bombing. And we know now that, there were 50 issued yesterday morning for 50 locations, and then overnight another 30 locations were listed. And we've seen rolling warnings overnight for specific locations in the southern suburbs of Dahia as well. And so you've got thousands of people on the move across the country, searching for somewhere to go. Many of the people here in Beirut, they will be eventually housed in schools, which are opening up as shelters, but some of them are already at capacity. And you've got other civilians who have just kind of landed in the streets. They don't quite know what to do yet. And it all really has this feeling of deja vu. I was here in Beirut in September and October of 2024, and it was the same thing. You had people camping out across the capital for weeks on end. And so that is the question for many of these people is, when will it be safe for them to go back to their homes?
OK, let's turn to Tehran now. We have Tohid Asadi standing by for us there. Tohid, I want to talk to you about the latest strikes on Iran, including on the state broadcaster. But first, I want to see if you can address these comments that we're getting from Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi. He's weighed in on US Secretary of State Marco Rubio's comments overnight on the Americans' justification for attacking Tehran. I'm just going to read out this post that he has put on X. Mr. Rubio admitted what we all knew. U.S. has entered a war of choice on behalf of Israel. There never was any so-called Iranian threat. Tell us a bit more about those comments and what we make of them.
Well, the recent statement by the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi could be interpreted as a sort of part of Iran's rhetoric in that regard, with the claim that they are putting forth about the securitization of Iran-related issues and a sense of Iranophobia that is being created globally from the United States and from the Israelis on a Iranian or Iran's threat in that regard. And also, we heard from Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi about the diplomatic engagement. Also, the same thing was similarly mentioned by the Iranian Secretary for the National Supreme Security Council, Ali Larijani. Right now, they're saying that we were trying to settle down the issues related to the nuclear dossier of the country through the trajectory of diplomatic interaction, not once but twice in the past 1 year. But all of a sudden, what we faced was not good faith, not table of negotiation, but a sudden initiation of strikes back in June when the two countries were in the middle of negotiation and the sixth round was expected. They faced strikes, and also for yesterday we were expecting a round of technical talks between Iran and the UN nuclear watchdog to settle down the issues. Again, another round of talks, politically speaking, between Washington and Tehran, which was expected to be taking place in the days ahead. But still, what we faced was a sort of campaign of strikes that the Iranians are right now dealing. So the claim under this circumstance that they are trying to put forth is that it is not the Iran that is threatening the region or that is being perceived as a threat, but instead, it's the United States that instead of going through diplomatic engagement, it opens up the fronts of war to deal with this situation.
And Tohid, let's go back to the topic of strikes on Iran, because they've gone well beyond just military targets. The state broadcaster has been hit, civilians have been hit, even a school has been hit.
Well, the truth of the matter is that the scope, as you said, goes much beyond the military headquarters or even the political centers. This is now day 4 from the initiation of these strikes, and from the very early hours of these strikes, we saw that this is not limited. In Pastor Square, where the office of Supreme Leader and where the office of President were targeted, we saw residential areas, and this is related to day 1. Residential areas were targeted, buildings belonging to very ordinary citizens were targeted, and of course, we've got the Minab story, which is very tragic, very dramatic, in which an elementary school was targeted, leaving over 160 kids, school kids, to be killed. And of course, that doesn't even stop there. And if you just go through, different neighborhoods. I had a chance last night and the nights before and the days before, of course, to go to the neighborhoods, some of them in the capital, to take a look at what is going on. And the truth, reality on the ground is that we can see that a lot of these civilian infrastructure, civilian buildings are being targeted, very much similar to the attacks that we witnessed back in June. Also, we've got reports from Nilufar Square yesterday, a residential area in which more than 20 people were killed. 2-3 hospitals are confirmed to be targeted, either directly or indirectly. They are located in the vicinity of military places or political headquarters, or etc., etc. And this wave of strikes continue up until the moment, from time to time. Specifically last night, from midnight onward, we heard multiple after sounds of massive blast, as well as the smoke actually hanging in the air, indicating that this is just very massive, very intensified round of strikes that we are witnessing at the time being.
Okay, many thanks for that. Tohid Asadi there for us in Tehran.